Richard Jewell was a hero or a villain. I wanted to go into the movie not knowing, so I could get have the story play out without me knowing, oh well, this is going to happen in the end. I think that actually enhanced the movie for me as well, because I know a few other people who have gone to see the film who knew what happened, and they said like there was no air of suspense for them, but I did have that air of suspense because I didn't know what was going to happen. But what did you think of the performances in this movie, especially Paul Walter Hauser?
Yeah, I've really got to say I was really amazed by how great Paul Walter Hauser played Richard Jewell. Like I want to say that as early as possible right away, because I was really harsh on the character he played in our episode on the movie Black Klansman, as it was practically this cartoon character which just focused on him being this fat mouth breathing joke. And that one character, more than almost anything else in that movie, brought down my respect for the film overall, because like you've got this fat guy and he's just acting like just fat idiot. There's nothing real about him. And here, as you say, Hauser, he needs to pretty much carry this entire film, where he's surrounded by veterans like Sam Rockwell and Kathy Bates and John Hamm and even Olivia Wilde, who all themselves are giving amazing performances. And if Hauser wasn't on that same level, it would have brought the entire film crashing down. But he sells the part of being this naive and delicate but also honest man with a sense of respect for authority and what he thinks is right. We talked about how other actors' performances last year were so much more amazing than those which actually went home with awards at the recent Academy Awards. And while I'm happy to see Kathy Bates was nominated for this film, I think it was criminal that Paul Walter Hauser wasn't given really any recognition as far as like a Best Actor nomination is concerned, because I think he was amazing in this film as far as being like a real breakout role. It blew me away. Sam Rockwell was amazing in the film as well, and I know that was something. I think you had said that I think, did you think that he gave a better performance in this or Jojo Rabbit, which was a movie that he was actually nominated for an Oscar for? Did you think he was better in this or Jojo Rabbit?
I thought he was better in this. Look, I'm probably one of those people that still, when it comes to Oscars, I think of dramatic performances. Jojo Rabbit, Sam Rockwell is much more comedic. It's like I think I said when I was talking about Jojo Rabbit in another episode. Jojo Rabbit is one of those movies where the tone changes, but Sam Rockwell's character kind of always has that hint of comedy around him, even when different people in the movie are realizing the gravity of the situation. His character realizes it too, and there's a couple of scenes where he is really depressed and down, but then he tries to lift the kids around him by going back into his like kind of funny self, as a way of like trying to make the kids not panic with what's happening. For me, this movie was a better Sam Rockwell performance because it was because of the dramatic side of the film. I don't know, he's just one of those actors for me that you can throw anything at him. He's like Leonardo DiCaprio. You can throw anything at Sam Rockwell and he'll deliver. Like Moon is this deeply depressing movie where for most of the film he acts on his own. The Way Back, it's kind of like Jojo Rabbit. He's a hurt individual who uses comedy to kind of cover up how he actually feels pain in his life. But this movie, it's drama. Like it's Tom Cruise from The Firm. He's a lawyer. He's on a mission at the start. Like at first he just wants to take on this case, and then he sees the injustice that's happening and just wants to take on the FBI. And there's some really brilliant scenes here where I think most people would go in and watch it and just go, oh, that's just a scene with a lawyer. But the passion that he puts into Watson Bryant as a character, and where he's like facing off with John Hamm and stuff like that, I found that to be just a really, really good performance. Yeah, amazing performance by Sam Rockwell, and I think it's just unfortunate that this was one of those years at the Oscars where there were so many good performances that people who put in great performances still missed out to someone else who put in a great performance.
Yeah. In this case, Sam Rockwell missed out to a nomination to himself, but from another movie.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio because, yeah, at one point I believe this movie was supposed to possibly be a kind of follow-up of sorts to Wolf of Wall Street with Leonardo DiCaprio and in the Sam Rockwell role, and Jonah Hill in the Richard Jewell role, and so I guess it's the movie has this interesting thing where it really does focus on the two of these characters, even though House is such a lesser known actor than Sam Rockwell, it does give them both time to shine.
Yeah,
and yeah, this might have been because they were both. At one point, Sam Rockwell's character, the lawyer, was supposed to be maybe the focus of the movie, and he had this case presented to him, and he didn't quite know whether the guy was guilty or not. As you say, there are some people that might say that there's no mystery to it because they know what happened, or the way that the movie's presented, it is kind of straight, like you can kind of see straight away that Richard Jewell isn't guilty. But the way I think that's really the way that Clint Eastwood wanted to go with this film, that he really did want to focus on Richard Jewell himself, and to show that this man, he never should have been the suspect that he was. He never should have been the prime suspect that he was, because one of the first things that Sam Rockwell's lawyer character does when he's not quite sure whether this guy did it or not. When he's reading the newspaper, he thinks, well, it seems like they have a clear case on him. He does that time walk, like when he finds out, he sees how long it takes for it would have taken for Richard Jewell to get from this point to this phone to make the bomb threat call.
Yeah.
And you just see it's simply impossible for him to do that. And that's something that the FBI should have been able to tell straight away.
Yeah.
They should have been able to pick out straight away, no, this is clearly not the guy that we're looking for. And in real life, they did actually have other suspects, and one of them being the man who actually did it. But they put so much time into looking into Richard Jewell, an innocent man who actually saved so many people, that it potentially might have let this guy evade capture for many, many years.
Yeah.
One kind of criticism, if I did have for the film, was that maybe having so much of a focus on Richard Jewell and his family and his lawyer and the effect that this had on them, without a doubt, Richard Jewell saved many people's lives, but there were two people who died, and I didn't even really know that until maybe about halfway through the film. Like the actual, I hate to say, the body count of the bombing. They focus so much on Richard Jewell and in the aftermath that he is a hero and how his mother's proud of him and all this, that it doesn't really, it didn't really focus really at all on the victims. And I'm not sure if it was like Patriots Day, where, especially with a child who died during the Boston Marathon bombing, and out of respect, the filmmakers didn't name drop the child or depict his parents or anything. And here there was some focus on a woman who in the aftermath is clearly messed up, and there was a lot of time spent on another family before the bombing happens that made me think that they were going to be victims, or that was actually foreshadowing something. But the movie doesn't really spend any time on it after that. And like I say, I can appreciate that the movie was about Richard Jewell and the aftermath that this had on his life, but not having any of the Jewell household or Sam Rockwell's character really talk about the kind of talk about the victims and not really focusing on that at all. It kind of it conflicted with the way that the movie presents the FBI and the media, that they didn't really care about the people that had been hurt. They just wanted a scapegoat and they wanted a story.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I guess just that was something I kind of wish that they maybe focused a little bit more on. But other than that, I can understand that the movie was trying to focus more on the media and their character assassination of Richard Jewell and how much they had invaded their lives.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I suppose it is a bit of a weird kind of thing for Eastwood to find himself in, because he did want to kind of have this movie more about the fact that this is how the media can ruin somebody's life, rather than make it like an actual pictorial history of what happened actually on that day. But yeah, it does feel a little bit weird that there wasn't more given to the victims. But yeah, I guess at the end of the day, that's what the story that he was trying to tell here was, that in a way, Richard Jewell almost became another victim as well, because of the aftermath that happened for him. I guess the big question is now, what are you going to give this movie out of 5?
I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. I thought the performances in this movie really blew me away. As you say, Kathy Bates was amazing. Really everybody. I can't even highlight one person above another. I just really am. Impressed by Paul Walter Hauser's performance of Richard Jewell, and how he managed to such kind of an actor that you would just expect to play fat guy falls down roles and everything.
Yeah.
has really been able to carry such an amazing film, and it's a pity that he might not have gotten the credit that he deserved for this, and that he might not have gotten the recognition that I think he deserves for it, because it is an amazing film with amazing performances, and sadly everyone's only really focused on how it depicted the journalist who may or may not have slept with an FBI guy for a story. That's what everyone's talking about, not the performances of this movie, not what a great movie Clint Eastwood has made. It's, oh no, look how horrible he's treated this journalist character. So, but I'm going to give this 4.5 out of 5. I was really impressed by it. If I had seen this last year when it came out in America, it would have been a contender for my movie of the year.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4 out of 5. I really loved it as well. Again, like you said, the performances for me were just outstanding. Paul Walter Hauser really announces himself with this movie. Sam Rockwell and Kathy Bates are brilliant. I thought Olivia Wilde was great. I even thought John Hamm was great in this. Hasn't been a lot of credit given to him because he kind of plays the bad guy, but I liked his character, and I love the fact that they kind of give his character personality as well. There's moments in this movie where you would expect that his character would kind of stand down and go, you know what, I'm wrong. He doesn't. He turns around and he says, "Oh, I still believe this." John Hamm played that role really well, and considering this is a guy that we see do comedy, do drama, he does a really good role in this. There was actual talk at one point that Kevin James was going to play Richard Jewell, which would have been interesting as well. Could he have pulled off a really serious role like that? But yeah, as John Hamm shows, you can do that, and it works quite well, and we're seeing it now with Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler, playing the serious role really well. But look, this is one of those movies where if you're a young actor, go and see this movie, because this is some of the best acting performances that you will see on the screen this year at all. So that brings our episode to an end, looking at Richard Jewell. Kyle gave it 4.5 out of 5. I gave it 4 out of 5. Go along to Richard Jewell. Go along and check out and make up your own mind about the movie. Don't listen to what people are saying about the controversy.